It's the 1600s in the heart of Bavaria, where a group of monks are gathered in a dark, candlelit chamber of their ancient monastery. The air is thick with the scent of malt and hops as they contemplate a challenge. Lent is coming, and that means no solid food for weeks. But these monks aren't just holy men, they're pretty shifty as well. What if, one of them says, we made our beer stronger? A beer so hearty it could carry us through the fasting season. The beer that they developed was the traditional Bock, a beer so rich and filling it could sustain a monk through Lent and beyond. While the monks are pleased with their creation, doubt begins to creep in. What if the Pope didn't like the idea of the monks skirting the holiest of rules? Fearing divine disapproval, they decide to send a barrel of their new Bock to the Vatican for a taste test. If the Pope gives it his blessing, they're in the clear. So they send their beer on a long journey across the Alps to Rome. But fate has a sense of humor. By the time the barrel reaches the Vatican, the beer inside has spoiled, turning sour and undrinkable. The Pope, unaware of the beer's original rich flavor, takes a sip and is repulsed. He says something along the lines of, "This beer is gross," and blesses it as the perfect drink for the monks over Lent. And with that, the monks' Bock beer gets the holy stamp of approval. Not because of its taste, but because it's so awful that it must be part of their penance. And so, by a twist of fate, Bock beer is canonized by the Pope himself. So next time you sip a Bock, remember, you're enjoying a beer that's steeped in history, blessed by mistake, and brewed by monks who knew how to turn fasting into feasting, all thanks to a spoiled barrel of beer. Saint Arnold of Metz, patron saint of brewers, is quoted as saying, "From man's sweat and God's love, beer came into the world." But what are monks? Monks are members of religious communities that have devoted their lives to spiritual practice, prayer, and often manual labor. The word monk comes from the Greek word monachos, meaning solitary or alone, reflecting their commitment to a life of contemplation and separation from the distractions of the secular world. Monasticism, the practice of living as a monk, has roots in various religious traditions, but it became particularly prominent in Christianity during the early centuries of the Church. Monks typically live in monasteries, self-sufficient communities where they dedicate their lives to God, following a strict regimen of prayer, work, and study. The most well-known Christian monastic orders include the Benedictines, Cistercians, and Trappists, each with their own rules and way of life. The history of Christian monasticism dates back to the 3rd and 4th centuries in Egypt, where the Desert Fathers, a group of early Christian hermits and ascetics, withdrew to the wilderness to live a life of solitude and spiritual discipline. Their way of life soon attracted followers, leading to the formation of communal monastic communities. One of the most influential figures in the development of Western monasticism was Saint Benedict of Nursia, who in the 6th century wrote the Rule of Saint Benedict. This set of guidelines for monastic life emphasized balance, moderation, and communal living, and became the foundation for many monastic orders across Europe. Benedictine monasteries became centers of learning, agriculture, and cultural preservation during the Middle Ages, playing a crucial role in the transmission of knowledge and the development of Western civilization. Monasteries were more than just places of worship. They were hubs of innovation and self-sufficiency. Monks engaged in a wide range of activities, including farming, brewing, winemaking, and manuscript copying, all while adhering to a strict daily schedule of prayer and labor. Their commitment to manual work was seen as a form of devotion, and they believed that their efforts should serve both God and the community. This ethos of hard work and dedication extended to their brewing practices, where monks became some of the most skilled and meticulous brewers of their time. Their monasteries often became renowned for the quality of their beer, which was not only consumed within the community, but also sold to support the monastery's operations and charitable activities. Through their work, monks contributed significantly to the agricultural and technological advancements of their era, leaving a lasting legacy that continues to influence the world today. Monasteries have played a pivotal role in the history of beer. In medieval Europe, monasteries were centers of learning, agriculture, and, you guessed it, brewing. The monks had access to resources, knowledge, and most importantly, time to experiment with brewing techniques. Their dedication to quality and consistency made monastic beer some of the finest in the world, and their influence can still be tasted in beers today. From the early days of simple brewing to the refined processes of Trappist monasteries, the monks have left an indelible mark on the world of beer. The connection between beer and monasteries dates back to the early Middle Ages. Monks needed to be self-sufficient, and brewing beer was a natural extension of their agricultural practices. Beer was not only safer to drink than the often contaminated water, but it was also considered a form of sustenance, especially during fasting periods. The rule of Saint Benedict even allowed for the consumption of beer. As monasteries grew in wealth and influence, so did their brewing operations. By the 9th century, monastic breweries were among the most advanced in Europe, experimenting with different ingredients, techniques, and preservation methods. The Middle Ages saw the rise of monastic brewing to new heights. Monasteries became renowned for their beer, producing it not only for their own consumption, but also for sale to the surrounding community. This wasn't just a way to make money, it was also a form of charity, as monasteries often provided beer to travelers, the poor, and pilgrims. The monks were meticulous in their brewing processes, keeping detailed records and refining their recipes over centuries. This period also saw the introduction of hops as a key ingredient in beer, a practice that is often credited to monastic brewers. The use of hops improved the flavor and preservation of beer, allowing it to be stored for longer periods and transported over greater distances. Fast forward to the 17th century, and we see the rise of Trappist monasteries, which have become synonymous with high-quality beer. Trappist monks adhered to a strict code of conduct, which included self-sufficiency and the production of goods that could support their community. Beer, of course, was at the top of the list. Today, there are only a handful of Trappist breweries, and they are revered for their commitment to traditional brewing methods and the quality of their beer. Trappist ales are characterized by their complex flavors, high alcohol content, and deep ties to monastic tradition. These beers are often brewed within the walls of the monastery, with proceeds going to support the monastic community and charitable causes. The legacy of monastic brewing extends far beyond the walls of the monastery. Many of the techniques and styles developed by monks have been adopted and adapted by modern craft brewers. The focus on quality ingredients, attention to detail, and the pursuit of perfection are hallmarks of both monastic and craft brewing. In fact, some of the most popular beer styles today, such as Belgian ales, double and triple, have their roots in monastic traditions. Craft brewers around the world pay homage to these traditions by brewing their own interpretations of these classic styles, often with a modern twist. Before we go any further, I would like to take a minute to thank the sponsor for this video. If you're as fascinated by the world of beer as we are, there's no better way to experience it than with City Brew Tours Austin. Embark on the ultimate beer adventure through the heart of Austin with an expert beer guide who knows all the ins and outs of the local brewery scene. Get VIP access to some of Austin's top craft breweries. You'll learn the secrets behind the brewing process, taste a variety of amazing beers, and hear the stories behind the history, art, and science of brewing beer. But it's not just about the beer. This tour is an experience. City Brew Tours Austin is your ticket to a deeper understanding of the art of brewing. Whether you're a craft beer newbie or a seasoned connoisseur, head over to City Brew Tours Austin's website and book your tour today. Use code BEERNERD, all one word, to save 10% on any upcoming public tours. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of beer in monasteries, make sure to hit that like button, share, and subscribe to Beer Nerd. We're just scratching the surface of the fascinating world of beer, and there's so much more to explore. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. We'd also love to hear from you. Drop a comment below with your favorite monastic beer or a topic you'd like us to cover in a future video. Cheers.